Good morning, everyone. It's a Tuesday, the final trading day in the month of August. I am Boosting Omofai, and joining me on today's edition of FOB, Frontier Opening Bell, Joshua Debisi, Head of Banking Research and Analysis at Vertifa Capital Management. Good morning, Josh. It's good to have you. Let's go dive straight into the market, where the Nigerian market was dipped 0.4% on Monday to start the week, despite big earnings we saw over the weekend from Zenith Bank and Guinness Nigeria. BRVM went up by 1/10. Some of the big names there, like Polo Africa, made some big gains around 7.4% on Monday. The Egyptian market for the second trading day, which was Monday, also went up $139 million in total turnover value. Nairobi Securities Market went down by 0.8. The GSE suffered 0.86%, led largely by Naspers and Prosus shares, and few other names as well. In East Africa, the Standard Group reporting 61.2 million shillings loss, net loss in the first half of the year. BOC Gases in Kenya, first half net earnings up 165.8%. That's quite a big jump there. Liberty Kenya Holdings, which includes insurance and other financial services operations, net profit down to 265.1 million shillings in the first half. MTN says it's in final stages of listing on the Uganda Stock Exchange. Mauritius trade deficit for the first 6 months of the year widens 18% year on year, 55.4 billion rupees. Josh, let's start with MTN. It looks like after the Rwanda listing, MTN is heading to Kenya. It looks like this company, telco giant, is going to keep doing a lot more listings on the continent. You have your eye on this?
Absolutely. I think it's a very interesting strategy to be listed across, so many of the markets. I guess in any market that they have, significant operations, their intention must be to list. That's very interesting strategy. I'm not sure what the end goal is, but I think definitely it will help them, at least with regards to repatriating of dividends and things like that. But long term, it makes sense, this is, I think, the largest telco on the continent. And if they are going to cover the entire continent, it is a good idea for them to, list across all their markets, unlike Airtel, who are sort of all currently under one umbrella, listed just in Nigeria and in London. So I think that's a very interesting, dichotomy between the two giants and their own differing strategies. But overall, this is just an exciting opportunity. Obviously, MTN has intentions that go just beyond your classic telco and want to enter into, fintech and, branch
Mobile
out.
money.
Probably all of that is going to help to increase their, value as a company, as a group over time. So I think this is definitely going to give us a lot more access to, their financial information across each of their markets, which is a very, very good thing.
For East Africa, Safaricom is the king in the manner of speaking. So for MTN to list in Uganda, which is a very small market, and then move to list in Uganda, I think they are closing in on Safaricom. I think that's the whole idea. They've done a whole lot of West African expansion. You remember Nigeria, Ghana, as it were. Now they're moving in and they're closing in on this big name, which is Safaricom in Kenya. So in a manner of speaking, perhaps they think, well, if we list on these exchanges, well, people have a sense of shareholding. Then if we tell them about our services and what have you, it makes a whole lot more sense rather than thinking, well, is this South African company and it's not here. So I guess that's why they're closing it, because it looks from Rwanda here, from Uganda here, a bit of closing in a little bit on Kenya. And I think Safaricom should be looking at them coming. And then if they eventually get into the Ethiopian market, remember, that will form a band around Safaricom. So I think the end game here is Safaricom. I'm just thinking, I'm playing the devil's advocate, but I know it makes a whole lot of sense, by the way. Okay, let's talk about Nigerian markets, because the earnings from Guinness and Zenith came in over the weekend, but the market softened yesterday. The e-Naira is here for your wallet. Joshua, what are you learning about this central bank selected a technical partner, then talk about the guidelines, whether it's going to be 50,000 naira that will be allowed. It's going to rank pari passu with the fiat money. This is one big deal between Boa Group, which is Boa Cement listed on the market, the group company with Ebar of Turkey signing a deal to do the largest POP manufacturing plant to be completed by next year. Esla PLC is exchange offering to swap about 1.2 billion Ghanaian cedis of tranche E1 bonds. And Leapfrog is a UK private equity buying the stake in Ghana's Fidelity Bank because Amethyst, which is another PE, has exited that particular deal. Josh, let's talk a little bit about this e-Naira that is likely going to be unveiled on the 1st of October. Technically, 30 days from now. Tomorrow is the 1st of September, by the way. So let's just move forward.
Well, what I would say is, from what I've gathered about what they've released regarding the e-Naira, obviously it's going to make transactions. It's supposed to make transactions easier, more seamless, and cheaper for the users. Now, the initial assumption that I had was that it was going to obviously help us to a large extent with regards to our FX challenges, by giving people a bit better access to FX and maybe, being able to transfer Naira internationally or things like that. But from, the guidelines that have been put out, that has not really been highlighted or been made to, appear as if that is the case, which makes me think that this is just another sort of clever tactic, should I say, by the CBN to try and control FX, to control FX movements, because obviously they know that a lot of people have bought into the digital currencies, whether, the official digital currencies or obviously the blockchain currencies that you have, like your Bitcoin and your Ethereum. As time goes on, obviously it's a smarter move to have your own official digital currency, but it has to be linked to and be seamlessly exchangeable with all these other currencies, including your tethers, like your USD tether and your USD coin, in order for it to actually have value to us as consumers outside of just being able to transfer cash. Because obviously at some point you have to get into, transactions, whether it is through merchants, international transactions. That's really where the potential lies, is in international transactions and being able to use this currency seamlessly to pay for things internationally and have it be a recognized form of value exchange that goes beyond Nigeria. Because this is sort of unfortunately closing it around the country still. So it's still a closed system that isn't open to the rest of the world yet. And I'm hoping that it will evolve into that.
I guess it's going to evolve. I want to believe this is the pilot phase. Remember when China did a pilot phase a couple of months ago? I can't remember whether it was last year. They issued a size of their own digital money and allow it to be spent only in China in yuan. Which is the local currency. Because if you set up this digital currency and you peg it immediately to the dollar, I'm not too sure how that will work initially if you'll be looking for trouble. But I think let's get it. I think if we have this as a pilot phase, like you rightly said, let's see whether the next phase will take us to that level. Because if I have to do e-commerce and things like that and what have you across various platforms, I should be able to do it using my e-wallet. By the way, I'm not restricted to just within the local currency. So you got a very big, you have a good point there. But let's see how the first phase of this, which is the unveiling on 1st of October, looks like, and then we move on. Give me a few seconds of your thoughts on this Boa Cement. It looks like some of our big industries are making some good stride. This is Dangote, petrochemical, looking at ammonium, polypropylene, and then Boa Group, one of his main competitors now in the market, talking about plaster of Paris production, with what you call a gypsum powder. That's the name for it. Talking with Turkey. This, of course, is going to be some investment and technical relationship there for our benefit. Do you think so?
Oh, absolutely. So I mean, any kind of industrial manufacturing that wants to take place in Nigeria is just a plus for our economy. The truth is, we
Mm.
need, this level of investment, this level of, planning, and this level of manufacturing times 100, times 1,000, in fact, to really push our economy into, where it should be as the so-called giant of Africa. We should be a manufacturing hub. We should be an export hub for the rest of West Africa and even Central Africa. But I'm hoping that this is just the first step and that as time goes by, we'll see more investments like this. But I think that this is a very, very good step. Hopefully, it is something that I think what we've noticed about BOA is that they've been very, very good at executing. I think that they are more
Mm.
strategic when it comes to the planning phase and the execution of their projects. So we don't usually hear issues around things like, they quickly set up a plant or they quickly set up some sort of manufacturing and that closes down immediately. So they don't have those kinds of issues. So I think that they are well positioned to actually execute this plan and hopefully it will bring out a lot of value and hopefully they can even export it to other countries and that will bring in a lot of revenue for us.
Valid point. Valid point. If you're quite strategic, you'll be able to do it. Just bite what you can chew and just
Yes.
move on, get it done, and move on to the next level. And I think I agree with you. I give it to, let's give it to the Boa Group. But the more the merrier, as you rightly said as well. So the more the merrier. Let's see more of this industrial manufacturing, raise our industrial quotient, our manufacturing size of the GDP, create more solid jobs, and let's see how it all contributes to exports. At the end of the day, it boils down to our export earnings. Let's look at the Southern African market. Prosos, Naspers, Goldfields, Amplats led the South African market into negative territory yesterday. But Discam is this big pharmaceutical company and drug company in South Africa. So they've got while the initial shareholders and founders are taking billions of rands out in terms of profits they've made over the years. Two new investors are looking to buy 10%, Black Panther and Royal Bafokeng. Then you have Naspers shares yesterday and Prosos down about 2.7% on average because of that new Chinese gaming rules for kids. China is hitting fast and furious on its tech companies is a global story. Sun International is a very big name in Africa and within South Africa when it comes to hotel, leisure, hospitality, tourism locations, and all of the first half of the year, income up 51% to 3.8 billion. That's quite a surprise concerning some of the restrictions around COVID-19 in South Africa during the first 6 months of this year. Three companies says they're investing about 160 million rand in South Africa's insurtech Naked Insurance. And Infrastructure Development Bank of Zimbabwe is doing a rights issue, $1.65 billion to raise more money. It looks like the Zimbabweans are having a hang on the economy under President Mnangagwa. And Botswana is looking at the GDP growth, Joshua, 9.7% for this year from 8.8%. This is the strongest GDP projection on the African continent. Is it all about diamonds that Botswana is known for? This is
Well,
huge.
it is quite huge, and I'm very impressed. What I will say is I'm going to have to pay a lot more attention to Botswana from now on if they are going to be
Please
posting
do.
such impressive numbers. I would be very impressed to see the trend going back a couple of years, just to see if they've maybe just picked up
A
recently,
bit
like
of
you said,
historical
maybe
perspective, yeah.
yeah, maybe they've just, ramped up, like you said, their diamond production or whatever the case may be. It is definitely very impressive. Although I know that Botswana, population wise and, landmass wise, is not the biggest country on the continent. But I mean, any kind of growth
Very
that's
stable politically speaking as well.
absolutely, absolutely. So I think when you're getting close to double figures for GDP growth, you're outpacing almost every other country in the world.
Nearly all the big boys.
Yeah, so I will definitely be paying a lot more attention to Botswana going forward.
The diamond market has been revving up significantly since the first wave or second wave of the pandemic. The ultra wealthy people in the world are buying more diamonds now. than before. The market went significantly down last year. Botswana was technically on his knees. Now the people are now doing a whole lot more weddings and all of that. Say, I love you. Yes, I do. So a whole lot of that coming through. So with all of that, if you look at the wedding rates, applications in the US is massive because of the whole vaccination. So folks are getting married. People want the best of diamonds. And of course, there's a whole lot of stimulus money, by the way, from the government. So if you get extra $1,600 or so per month, Joshua, you can buy a couple of diamonds and say, well, can I can I say I love you once again? So diamond is forever. So I guess Botswana is one country we need to look at. Thank you. I appreciate that so much. Let's look at the North African market. The new Optic listing, public listing platform on the Tunisian stock market went up yesterday. We're following that very closely for everyone. EFG Hems and TFSC is buying 76% stake in Arab Investment Bank. HD Bank, first half profit, down 6%. Banque du Caire post 7% rise in first half profit, and the CFG banking group non-banking income about 23%. This is North Africa, but again, it looks like the banking news is coming through left, right, and center earnings. Give me a wrap of this, Joshua. If you take a look at what do you think the general trend will be for banks in the first half of the year and the second quarter? Just give me an overview.
Well, broadly speaking, from what we're observing, I think you can see that they're doing quite a lot of business. There's a lot of consolidation happening, and they're doing very, very impressive stuff with regards to, non-interest income, so to speak. So that means that their operations are really being ramped up. They're seeing a lot more transactions. They're seeing a lot more traffic. And that is quite obvious because every time we talk about North Africa, we're always talking about the banks. So I think what we're seeing is there's a lot of traffic coming in from outside. There's quite a lot of international interest in the North African banking space, especially in Egypt, for obvious reasons that we've mentioned several times. They took a completely different strategy to us with regards to their own currency struggles, and that helped to put them on the map with regard to investors and international investors who have seen their strategy as working, as favorable to international investors. And so they've brought a lot of money in. And so that's why you're seeing a lot of acquisitions. You're seeing a lot of outside buy-in and a lot of outside interest. And that is adding to their outperformance, really. Even in Morocco, you're seeing the same thing. So I think what that means is that the North African space with regards to finance and, banking has got it completely right. Whereas, there have been a few more struggles in Sub-Saharan Africa so far. So I think that will just continue. It's like a self-perpetuating cycle. The better they do, the more investment they attract, and the more the investment they attract, the better they are able to do. And so I think that's just what we're going to continue to see for at least for the foreseeable future.
Yes. And you look at the North African corridor, very closely linked with the European banking system.
Yes.
As well, over time, over decades and decades. So they've got this very close affinity. They do a whole lot of cross-border investments within that corridor. And like you said, that relationship also looks like it has paid off over time because it has helped their banking system become more stable. Then they took all of that into banking and regulation, the financial services, economy, and all of that. So but give it to them in North Africa. Show me your friends and I'll tell who you are. Keep good friends. then best practices in governance. In
good policy, that's what it is.
Yeah, policies, yes. And reforms and actions, regulatory will also follow through. That's how it goes. Thank you so much, Joshua Debisi, head of banking research and analysis at Vertiva Capital Management. Thank you so much. Have a great day and see you again tomorrow. That's how we wrap up the month of August. I am Bosun Amofaya. I'll see you next time. Bye for now.